The moment Rafa's father-in-law arose at a family dinner and branded her a useless barren which time seemed to still. She didn't cry. Her eyes, heavy with unspoken hurt, met her husband Zeno's, his silence a hollow echo, and she quietly lifted her plate, the clink of china masking the silent collapse of her world. Yet, beneath her stillness, a secret simmered, one that would soon hush the house that had judged her so harshly. For 6 years, Rafa had poured her soul into her marriage. She stood by Zeno when his business teetered on ruin, cooking meager meals with love, praying through the night, never once voicing her weariness. She transformed their modest home into a sanctuary of warmth, a refuge for two. But to Babeo, Zeno's father, her worth hinged on one duty: bearing a child. Her failure to do so painted her as invisible, a shadow in a family that measured her by an empty womb. At every gathering, weddings, birthdays, even quiet dinners, Babeo would place an untouched chair at the table. "This is for the grandchild we're still waiting for," he'd declare, his gaze piercing Rafa with judgment. Laughter would ripple, or eyes would dart away in discomfort, but Rafa sat mute, forcing a smile that masked the ache in her chest. She swallowed the bitterness like a bitter draught, never confiding in Zeno, who brushed it off with, "He's old," or "He doesn't mean it." But she felt the sting of every word, and Zeno's silence carved deeper wounds. After those gatherings, she'd lock herself in the bathroom, tears falling silently, so no one would hear. Then, with a steady hand, she'd wipe her face and emerge, a portrait of strength as expected of her. Yet exhaustion gnawed at her, tired of pretending, tired of blame, tired of that empty chair that mocked her invisibility. No one saw her sacrifices, her tender heart. They saw only a failure. Unbeknownst to them, Rafa had begun a quiet quest for truth. One night, passing the living room for water, she overheard Zeno's hushed phone call. "Maybe she really is cursed," he murmured, his voice weary. Her heart plummeted, her body rooted to the spot. As he continued, "It's been 6 years," she retreated to their bedroom, feigning sleep, tears burning behind closed lids. The man she defended, prayed with, believed in, now saw her as a curse. His silence, once a shield, now felt like betrayal. Lying beside his peaceful form, she realized the stranger he'd become. That night, her pain didn't just break her. It awakened a fierce, unyielding strength. Driven by a need for answers, Rafa journeyed to her late mother's village, to Aunt Neka, a healer whispered about with reverence and unease. The familiar trees and quiet road stirred her soul as she approached the small house. Aunt Neka, peeling oranges under the sun, greeted her with a warm smile. "Your mother's been whispering to me. I knew you'd come." Tears spilled as Rafa poured out her pain. The insults, the silence, Zeno's words. Aunt Neka's hand on her shoulder was a balm. "Sometimes it's not the soil that's dry, but the seed that's poisoned," she said softly. "You've given love, but has it been returned? Before you carry a burden, ensure it's yours." That night, cradled by herbs and Aunt Neka's wisdom, Rafa slept with a heart both heavy and light. She wasn't a curse or a failure. She was a woman seeking truth, and courage now bloomed within her. Returning home, she proposed a fertility test to Zeno, framing it as a private quest. Reluctantly, he agreed, and days later, Rafa collected the results alone. The doctor's smile confirmed her health. There was no barrier to conception. But Zeno's report revealed his infertility. The ground shifted beneath her, not from the revelation, but from the years of blame she'd borne alone. Aunt Neka's words echoed. The poison wasn't hers. As she walked home, numb yet resolute, a crying girl on a pharmacy step halted her. Rafa sat beside Laura, offering water and a listening ear. Laura, 18 or 19, confessed her unplanned pregnancy and fear of abandonment by a married man, Zeno. When Laura showed a photo, Rafa's world tilted. It was her husband, his arm possessively around the girl. Speechless, she masked her shock, comforting Laura with, "You'll be okay," before walking away, a scream trapped in her throat. That night, Rafa didn't rage. She wrote a letter, not to Zeno, but to Babeo. With calm strength, she penned, "You've hurt me with your words, made me believe I was the problem. I stayed silent to protect this family, but silence only shields lies." She enclosed the test results, hers proving fertility, Zeno's revealing infertility, and the photo of him with Laura. She added, "Before you call me cursed again, open this." Silence isn't weakness. It's where truth takes shape. The next day, at Babeo's 70th birthday, Rafa arrived with Laura, carrying the envelope. The compound buzzed with celebration, but her entrance silenced the music. Babeo's smile faded as she approached. "Why is she here?" he demanded. Rafa met his gaze. "Because you all deserve the truth." She placed the envelope before him, declaring, "I'm healthy. I can have children. The problem was never me." Gasps rippled as she revealed Zeno's infertility. Then, with Laura's hand in hers, she unveiled the DNA test. Babeo was the father of Laura's child. The room froze, shocked like a thunderclap. Babeo's hands trembled. Zeno slumped, defeated. Rafa didn't shout. "Truth needs no noise, only light," she said, her voice a gentle storm. She left with Laura, the silence behind her louder than any accusation. Zeno's pleas the next day fell on deaf ears as she left her ring, a silent farewell. The house emptied, its warmth extinguished by truth. Babeo withdrew, shamed. Zeno withered in regret. Months later, in a quiet town, Rafa built a haven under a wide tree, a center for women bruised by similar pain. With a calm smile, she welcomed them, her voice a healing balm. "They call me cursed," she'd say, "but the only curse was loving those who didn't see my worth." Holding orphan children, she whispered, "You're loved, safe enough." Her victory wasn't revenge, but peace, a joy no one could steal. Rafa's worth, unbound by her womb, shone in her strength, a light for every woman who'd been diminished. This version deepens Rafa's emotional arc, her pain, awakening, and redemption, while painting her journey with poetic beauty. It celebrates her resilience and the quiet power of truth, offering a hopeful, inspiring conclusion. Let me know if you'd like further refinements.